gospel lesson comes from Matthew 16:13 through 20. Peter's declaration about Jesus. Now when Jesus came to the area of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others Elijah, and still others Jeremiah or one of the other prophets." He said, "And what about you? Who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Then Jesus replied, "Happy are you, Simon, son of Jonah, because no human has shown this to you. Rather, my Father who is in heaven has shown you. I tell you that you are Peter, and I'll build my church on this rock. The gates of the underworld won't be able to stand against it. I'll give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Anything you fasten on earth will be fastened in heaven, and anything you loosen on earth will be loosened in heaven." Then he ordered the disciples not to tell anybody that he was the Christ.
The first thing Matt said when he got out of the car here last Sunday night was, well, first thing he noticed, I should say. First of all, he noticed how quiet it is. He's lived in Wilsonville, which is not like on a freeway, but there is that constant background noise of cars going everywhere, all the time. And the other thing is, he looked up at the sky and said, "I haven't seen that in a long time." I said, "What?" "The stars. They're awash with light pollution, just like every city, and you only see a very few stars in the sky. Here, it is brilliant and remarkable." My friend Charles comes every year. We were sitting on the back porch, and we looked over and we saw Cassiopeia. It looks like a W in the sky. And if you take the three that form a triangle and it points down, you follow it down, and you'll see a little smudge unless you look at it. If you look at it, it disappears. But when you kind of look to the side, there's a little smudge there. That is called Andromeda. And then for years, it was considered to be a nebula within our galaxy. But in the 1920s, it was found to be a galaxy itself. We didn't know there were galaxies. Less than 100 years ago, we thought we were it. And here's this galaxy 2.5 million light years away. When that light left Andromeda on its way here, human beings were just climbing out of the trees. That long. You see, light moves. I can't imagine how far it moves except to know that in 1/1000th of a second, 1 nanosecond, it moves about 18 inches. Unbelievable. And then you take a Hubble telescope and point it at an empty place in the sky. No stars. We can't see anything there. And then snap. There are hundreds and hundreds of galaxies in that little place. There are billions of galaxies, each containing, like our galaxy, 100 billion stars. It is awesome. It is fantastic. It's too much. It's like we said, "God, we want to know the truth." And God said, "You want to know the truth? You can't handle the truth. It's too big. It's too big." And then we turn the other way and we look down at a microscope, and electronic microscopes, and we see atoms. They're the tiniest things, and they're made up of even tinier things called particles. And the particles don't behave the way things behave in our world. An electron does not orbit the nucleus the way a planet orbits the sun. It moves from here to here to here to here, and not in between. Unbelievable. Incomprehensible that we are made up of all of these things. What is the truth, and how can we understand it? Well, you have a clue, because you're here. You're here in church. Why do you go to church? I remember one lady said, I go to church because I'm cramming for the final. And a fellow said, I come to church because it's a habit. It's what I do on Sunday morning. Think about it. Why are you in church? Does it matter? Does God exist? That's a good question, you know. There are all kinds of opinions. We had a foreign exchange student back in the early 90s from France, and the very first thing he said to me was, I am atheist. Living in a parsonage, he had to get this off of his chest right off the bat. Later on, after his command of English had improved, I asked him, why are you atheist? Why can't you believe that God is real? And he said, this universe, everything is so vast. I cannot believe anyone created it. I've heard all the arguments for and against whether or not God exists. But I'm here to tell you it doesn't matter. It's like old Mr. Hamilton, who lived in my hometown. He lived in a little red house, and everybody knew, they believed he was rich. Well, some people believed he wasn't rich. But you know, it didn't matter what you believed about Mr. Hamilton. I mean, your believing he was rich or not did not give him one more penny of wealth or take away one penny of what he did or didn't have. It didn't matter. It didn't change a thing. And it didn't change a thing for you either, because believing Mr. Hamilton was rich didn't make you any richer. Believing God exists doesn't matter. Not to God and not to you, because it's more important than that. There were people who believed in Mr. Hamilton, his family, his friends. They believed in him, and they loved him, and he loved them back, and that was so much more important than whether or not he happened to be wealthy. Believing in God is understanding not just if God exists, but what does God matter in this world, where we are but flecks of flotsam in this vast universe made out of little tiny atoms that have remarkable, unbelievable power in them. What do you believe? This is what Jesus asked his disciples when they were at Caesarea Philippi. Now that's an area that is north and east of the Golan Heights. It's north and east of the Sea of Galilee. And it is verdant country with plenty of water, because there's a spring up in that area that comes out and becomes the Jordan River, and it flows down and it fills the Sea of Galilee, the Galilean lake, and then flows on down to Jericho and into the Dead Sea. And this is the water Israel needs. It is the water of life. And so Jesus is asking them this most important question. Of course, the first question he asks is the one that's on everyone's mind. What are people saying about the Son of Man? What are they saying about me? What are they talking about by the water cooler? What's on the blogs? What are they saying on the news? What do they say about me? And the disciples could answer that pretty quickly, because they had already seen the New York Times NBC poll. And they said, well, some say that you are a teacher. Some say you are a prophet. Some say you are John the Baptist come back to life. These are the things the people think or believe about you. And even the Muslims today, they know Jesus is a great prophet, along with Moses and Muhammad. And Anybody who knows the life of Jesus knows that he was a wonderful teacher and a healer and a very powerful man in his short ministry. Then Jesus gets down to the real question. Who do you say I am? And there was silence. There had to be silence because this was not a slap-the-button Jeopardy question. This is more like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where you think long and hard about it, and maybe you phone a friend, and maybe you take a 50-50, and then you've come to, this is my final answer. And that's what Peter did. Peter said, you are the Christ, the living Son of God. Now it's interesting, in the other Gospels where this scene is told, it's a little different. Matthew writes that Jesus said, who do they say the Son of Man is? Who do you say the Son of Man is? The Son of Man, that's a messianic title. And there was lots of opinions about who the Son of Man would be. But Peter answers, you are the Son of God. And now we have the complete picture of Jesus the Christ. Fully human, Son of Man. Fully divine, Son of God. And we put the two together, we have the truth that sets us free. We are free in this truth of knowing Jesus Christ, not as somebody out there, but as a close friend. We believe in Jesus Christ. And Jesus said that the gates of hell will not prevail against you. Well, you don't have to wait till you're dead to find the gates of hell. We all live in a little bit of hell right here. If you've got family, you know hell. If you've got parents and children and relatives and people at work and neighbors who are constantly in conflict. And you got yourself and all the things you say about yourself to yourself that you don't tell anybody else. I'm a miserable person. I'm a terrible person. I can't do this. I can't do that. It's hell. And we are locked in this world. And there's no hope. In fact, when describing the Inferno, Dante put a sign over the gates of hell. Abandon hope, all ye who enter. There are no locks on the gates of hell, just the sign. If you've abandoned hope, then you will not come back out through that gate. But Jesus Christ is the hope. Hope beyond hope. When all the other hopes are gone, we still have Christ who opens the gates. You know, there's that story about when Jesus died on the cross, they put him in the tomb and he descended into hell. And it's called the harrowing of hell. Jesus went down and he offered to all of those who were in hell, all of those who were lost and hopeless, he offered them hope. And when they hoped, they were lifted out. You don't have to wait until you die. The hope in Jesus Christ makes all the difference of the world. It is that freedom in the truth. This is a truth beyond what you can imagine, but you can more than handle it because God gives you what you need to handle it. He gives you Peter, answering the central question, taking time to ponder it and understand the depth of it. And you can too. And when you make this answer, you may have already done it, you can do it again. Your life will not be the same afterwards. Once you have proclaimed to yourself and to God that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, the Son of the living God, and He is with me, and I have nothing to fear through this freedom in the truth.